Hi, my name is Julie Webster, and I have written a book of stretches for posture as well as strengthening exercises for posture. Ultimately, our bodies were meant to move around in the world a lot, and yet now we tend to be sitting quite a bit. So our postures really become compromised over time, and we don't always know how to change that. What I want to do today is give you a brief example and one stretch that's actually in my book, so you can get a sense of what this is all about. Our world has gone from standing, where our pelvis is in more of a neutral position and all the muscles are kind of lengthened and supported over our whole torso. But over time, things like sitting really changes that, and most of us, as you know, sit now for a living. And when we sit, not only are we starting to shorten all the muscles that flex the hip, but of course then we start to look at our screen and we start to type and we start to compromise our posture more and more. So what I want to show you today, though, is just this part about the hip. So in a normal position, the hip is in a neutral position, and the hip flexors, which are the muscles that flex or bring your thigh up towards your chest, those are in a nice elongated position. But if we sit for an extended period of time and those are short, we no longer have that full length in those muscles. So what happens is when we stand up, our pelvis can no longer stay neutral, but it actually starts to tilt forward, an exaggeration of that position, meaning that those muscles are all shorter and we can no longer get back to this normal healthy position. So the iliopsoas is one of the hip flexor muscles. Now it does other things. The psoas portion actually goes off the lumbar spine, and the iliacus comes off the inside of the ilium. But together they come down and attach onto the leg, and so together that muscle, the iliopsoas, does flex the hip. And if, again, you're sitting for long periods of time, that muscle will actually start to pull your pelvis into an anterior position, which then starts to compromise other things in your body. So what I want to do today is show you a great stretch for the iliopsoas muscle. And this is in my book along with other stretches, but let me show you that muscle. Now I'm using a table. Normally I would do this kind of on a landing on the midway up a stairway. You can do it off the side of your bed, but often the leg doesn't get enough room to actually stretch. So what I'm going to do is sit on the edge here, or you would on either the edge of a landing, or you can do this on a table. And come to right at the bottom of your pelvis where your sacrum is. And then you want to sit there, and I'm going to stretch the right one so you can actually see this. I'm going to take my left leg and grab the knee as I lay back and pull that into my chest. What this does is it takes my pelvis and actually tilts it the other direction. Instead of being in that shortened forward position, it pulls the pelvis backward by pulling this left leg in. And then with that, it allows that right iliopsoas to get a full stretch. So what you would want to do is just pull that leg in and let this leg totally relax. You'll feel a bit of a pull where the muscle attaches onto the femur. And just give that a nice pull, and you would just relax and breathe into this position for about 2 minutes. At the end of that time, you do not want to lift this leg because you've just really stretched it and allowed it to relax. So rather than do that, really help yourself up. Let that leg stay relaxed, and then you can put this other leg down. And that is a great way to stretch that iliopsoas. So if you have a job where you're sitting for long periods of time, or if you go out hiking for long periods of time, or things where you're constantly bringing your leg up into a flex position, this is a fantastic stretch for that. And if you would like to learn the other stretches and read my book, I have the book as an ebook, and along with that I have video demonstrations of each stretch for each muscle as well as strengthening exercises. And you can find that book at www.julie-webster.com, and the book is called Regaining Good Posture. Thank you. I hope you found this helpful.